celebrating the goodness of God that is amongst us. Our dear mother, who is the best mother ever to have for any other person in this world.
Indeed, man of God. I can't explain the blessing that we have. She is more than a mother. She's our prophetess. She's our teacher. She looks after us. She does so many things to us. She is the foundation upon which this ministry is built upon. Without our mother, there is no UFIC. And without UFIC, there is no you and I. We are all miracles that have been born through the hands of our mother. This is indeed amazing, man of God.
You know, you see how much of who she is by the works that she does on a daily basis. You look at the number of people that are being fed through her hands. You look at the people that have been given houses through her hands. You look at the less privileged that have been given a privilege through her hands. You look at the people that have been depressed emotionally. You see her coming to help them through her hands again. You see her also administering healing through her hands. You see her also administering life through her hands. So everything about our mother is just a miracle to us, and it's a God-given gift to all of us, not just Zimbabwe, because we've seen her helping even people that are beyond this country.
Yes. You know, we have doctors that have been sent to school by her, who are now graduated doctors. We have lawyers, we have pilots, we have teachers, we have engineers. You know, the list is endless. All these people have passed through her hands, and she has single-handedly paid for their tuition to go to school. What more do you want?
We have the best, like you have said, Doctor. And the best has to be celebrated in a best way, in the best way possible. And today is the day that the Lord has chosen for us to celebrate her life and to celebrate every good thing that she has done for all of us.
And you know, one day is not enough to celebrate such an exalted person. I think we can celebrate her every day. I know we have this September to remember, to celebrate her. But she is a woman worth celebrating each and every day of our lives.
And you know, the most amazing thing about our mother is everything about her life is a classic example of something that we have to learn from, something that we have to actually just admire and live the life that she lives. Because everything she does, she expresses Jesus, the love of Jesus to us on a daily basis.
Indeed, man of God. You know, the ladies are so fortunate that they are going to have this conference. And if I were a lady, I wouldn't miss this conference. I wouldn't miss it, because our mother is loaded with everything that you can look for in life. Everything, literally. Everything. You know, you always see when they come back, the light that they come with, that something was happening at the conference. Thank you, people of God. Today we've got a very amazing testimony. This testimony is a testament or a testimony of what God does through the hands of our mother. You know, so many times we talk about our father, but to us, they are one. They are a team. But this testimony, we just want to focus on what God does through our mother, the life he ministers through our mother, the amazing things that he does through her hands. On Thursday, our father shared a very amazing testimony. I'm sure those who followed the service, you heard him talking about it towards the end of the service, when he talked about a couple which was barren for, is it 25 years?
25 years.
25 years. They came to Chinoi, and our mother ministered to this lady, and now she's a mother of not just one, but of two, a boy and a girl. And it's by no coincidence that after failing to conceive for 25 years, you come, somebody says a word and lays a hand on you, and something happens when you go home. It's not a coincidence, people of God. But that's not the testimony we want to share. This was our father's testimony. We also felt jealous. We said, no, we've got another testimony for our mother, which we're going to share. And this is mind-blowing, people of God. This is something totally out of this world. Okay, before we say much, I think we'll ask the media team just to play the clip. This testimony happened in
2014.
in 2014. This was October 2014. This is 9 years ago when it happened. So media team, if you are ready, you can play us the clip. Thank you.
What happened on the 12th of October, during the early hours of the morning, I think around 2 a.m., 3 a.m., I noticed that my daughter had a hot body. Yeah, then we slept through the night, and in the morning, I woke up, she still had a hot body. But I thought it was just one of those things, or maybe she wanted to catch a cold or something. So we went to church. I normally sit in the overflow tent with the other nursing mothers. So I sat there, and I could see that her body was getting hotter and hotter. She was a bit weak. She was just suckling and sleeping, which she normally doesn't do. So as Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa was preaching, he was preaching about life. So when the service was almost getting to an end, I could see that my daughter is getting worse. So after the service, I was walking back to the car. Then I realized that something was happening to my daughter. She was just staring at me to an extent that she was not responding. I tried to call her name. Usually she would respond, but on this day she wasn't responding. I could feel that her legs were getting cold and her hands were also getting cold. She was not blinking. She was just looking up, but I could see that she cannot see anything. She's just looking. I could just see that my daughter has died, and this is what has happened. I ran back to the auditorium to seek for help.
When the mom said to me the child had been flat for close to 45 minutes, something struck me that things were not well here. I saw a child who was looking floppy with her head hanging by the mother's arm. Lips were blue. I got close to the child. Chest was not moving. Even the abdomen was not moving with breathing effort or respiration. And this child was not even blinking her eyes. I took the child from their hands. On taking the child, I felt this child was very cold, combined with blue lips, which suggests that blood was not flowing to the peripheries. I put the child on the floor on a hard surface and started to do compressions to the chest with my thumbs to ensure that you give support to circulation of blood to vital organs, which are the brain, the kidneys, and the heart muscle. So the chest compressions was trying to help to resuscitate this child to see maybe if we could aid with improving perfusion to the peripheries, to the vital organs. Unfortunately, my resuscitation efforts were futile. The child remained not responding. I felt for the pulses. I could not feel even the carotid pulse, even the heart itself. It was not pulsating. As you put the child on the side, the eyes would roll towards the same side, which is what we call the doll's eye movement. And that's one of the signs of brainstem death, or brain death, so to speak. So this was a conclusion of like multiple organ failure. And when that happens, we know in the medical field that death would have ensued, or this child had lost all the vital signs of life, and this child could be pronounced dead.
Media team, you can just pause for a moment. So the situation here, we've got a mother who brings her daughter, who is not feeling well, to church. The daughter has a hot body and has flu-like symptoms. And she's seated in the overflow. And in the main auditorium, our father is teaching about life. And indeed, you feel that you have come to the right place. My daughter is not feeling well, and the man of God is talking about life. That's the right place to be. But what happens after the service is so perplexing. The daughter loses consciousness initially, and the mother touches the hands and the feet, which were hot initially. They are now cold, and there is no sign of life on the baby. And the next thing they do is they look for a doctor. And it was fortunate Dr. Bara was around the scene. Dr. Bara, you can see there she was still a trainee ENT surgeon. This is 9 years ago. Now we celebrate her. She's now an ENT specialist, ear, nose, and throat specialist. She's now qualified. So she comes, she examines the patient. She sees that, number one, the child is not breathing. That's number one. Number two, there is no pulse. If she feels peripherally, there's no pulse. The heart is not beating. She feels for what we call the carotid pulse at the neck. There is no pulse. She looks at the eyes. They are not blinking. They are just dilated. They are open, just dilated. And then what rings into her mind is this child is dead. She starts to resuscitate the baby. That's the natural thing that you're going to do. You know, you don't want just to break the news to the parents that, sorry, mama, we have lost your baby. The parents want to hear that you have done your best. You know, it brings some kind of closure. If the parent says, no, I saw the doctor doing her very best. It didn't work out, but the doctor did her very best. So the doctor proceeds to do the resuscitation. And the duration that all this was done, it was 45 minutes. We usually do resuscitation for maybe 10, 15 minutes, and that's it. But you know, if the mother is looking at you, you know, you can't just stop and say, Mama Sharamba. You can't just do that. You have to continue and continue until somebody comes and tells you, this is now futile. Okay. So we know that medically that the brain needs to have blood within 5 minutes. If you interrupt blood supply to the brain for more than 5 minutes, the brain dies. So there is brain death. And we also know that suppose maybe by chance you are able to resuscitate and the child comes back maybe after 10, 15 minutes. That child is never going to have a normal life. That child will have some permanent brain injury. They might have symptoms like cerebral palsy. They might become slow learners. They might become retarded, so many things. Okay. So where we have ended now is the doctor has done her very best. Any doctor would have done that. She has done her very best. But the father is seeing that, the doctor has done her very best. But is there anywhere else where we can get help? Okay, so media team, you can start from that point, and then we see what happened next.
There were no signs that she's alive.
That's when we were brought to the prophetess. And when prophetess saw the kid, she was looking at a dead kid, because I saw her lifting the kid upside down. I could not understand. And also upside down, shaking the kid. Then it also frightened me. And then she looked at my wife and said, Mother, what's the name of this kid?
And we told her, Emanuela. Then she just said, Emanuela. And at that point, she responded.
I was happy to see her responding for the first time. I knew it was receiving life.
And I was flabbergasted, if I can use that strong word. I was surprised. I couldn't say much. This God, yes, we go to church at times, they are just believing verses, but when you see it being practiced practically, and you see it with your own eyes, you run out of ways to comment as to what is going on. And this child is alive. This child is happy.
So we are happy. We are happy we've got her. We are happy she was restored to us. And we actually thank the God of our father, Prophet Emmanuel Makandiwa. We thank Jesus Christ for her life. And we know she's going to have long life in the name of Jesus.
The child is brought to the woman of God who is still in house. And then when the child is brought to our mother just lifts up the child. The parents didn't understand what was happening. They were saying the child was being lifted up and down, and you know, some of these spiritual things, you don't understand how these things happen. It reminds me, there was this point when the son of a lady in the Bible was dead, and they had to call the prophet Elisha. And Elisha had to lay on the child hand to hand, face to face. And you are wondering, why are they doing this? You can't explain some of these things, why they do that. You can't really explain it. But the next thing, she then asks, what's the name of the child? And they say the child is called Emanuela. And she calls the child. For the first time in something like 50 minutes, the child blinks. And that's a response to her name. And, you know, what kind of a voice is that? That a child this child was gone, but she's brought back by the voice. She just calls Emanuela. And, you know, what amazes me, man of God, is the simplicity with how she did it. You know, if it was any other guy, you would hear 10 gears of tongues, several tongues and whatever, changing gear and whatever, and spit and saliva, everything. But our mother is just lifting the child, and she just says, Emanuela. And she says some words. You can play the clip, media team.
And then she looked at my wife and said, Mother, what's the name of this kid?
And we told her, Emanuela. Then she just said, Emanuela. And at that point, she responded.
Hey, I was happy to see her responding for the first time.
I hope we heard what our mother said. She said, Emanuela, hear me. Our Father has spoken about life today. Did you hear that, Doctor?
Indeed, man of God. Those are the words that she said.
And you notice that it was like our mother was calling the child from a far off distance and bringing life back to the body. It's like she was instructing someone that had gone far away and brought the person back in assurance to the words. And emphatically said, the words that you have to hear is that you have to live. Regardless of the fact that the child had blinked, the woman of God had to also put a seal on the child to say, you have to live. Because the words of the prophet were talking about you.
Yes.
That you have to have life. That's when you start realizing that when you get into the presence of a woman of God, you have to hear what she is saying. Because what they are saying, they are building up something that was not there.
Yes.
How could she say live to someone who's alive? She was now giving life to something that did not have life at that point in time.
Exactly.
And you can only give what you have. So our mother was giving something that was coming from what she has.
Yes.
She was giving her life to the child so that this child could be given back to the parents. If you notice, it was a very hopeless circumstance where even if you look at the doctor had tried everything that she could, resuscitation. And by all normal sense, I think you have said that if someone is going to be resuscitated for 15 minutes, the person is not supposed to come back 100%. They're
Yes,
supposed
indeed.
to have a form of some disability in some form.
Yes.
But we want to also understand then, after that, how the child was and how the child is. That's going to be a story maybe for a few moments from now.
Yes, indeed.
But what's astounding me is her being put into the hands of our mother. Remember what our father once said and what he always says. He says, whenever I want something to happen, I take the hands of your mother, our mother, the prophetess. Because I know if I hold those hands, they bring prosperity. Those hands, they bring
Full of life. Yes.
So,
You know, he even said, even some of the projects that he does, he comes with the papers and he lets our mother touch the papers. Once she touches the papers, he knows it's done. Imagine a prophet as great as our father. A prophet as great as our father. But he knows that he has to submit to this woman. Imagine. Imagine.
you know, these are things that we need to take a moment to just think about. You know, every time when I would actually look back on this testimony, you know, I couldn't help but my tears would really try to start coming out. Because you're looking at parents that have given birth to a child. They've had a year with that child. And all of a sudden they are looking at their child and that child has lost life. And you know after that how disheartening, how breaking it is for a family. And what they only did, which was good, was to be right in the right place where the prophetess of God was, where God was present. And they knew exactly what to do, was to just find the woman of God and place the things into the hands of the woman of God. And you know, when I look at such things, I start realizing how fortunate and how blessed we are as a ministry to have such a mother
Exactly.
who has got
Exactly, yeah.
a life-giving spirit. You know, how
And how simple,
Yes.
how she simplifies things. You know, I've seen our mother preach. You wouldn't call her somebody who is very fiery, no. In that simplicity, you have things happening more than somebody who is a very fiery person. In that simplicity, things are happening. You know, God packages so many mysteries and great things in places that you wouldn't expect. You know, our mother is packaged in such a way that is amazing. That is so amazing. Because, you know, she didn't even shout, Emanuela, she didn't shout like that. She just whispered to the child. You know, our father once said, if God is very close to you, sometimes there's no need for you to be making noise. She knows her God, that God is right with her. There is no need to. And the child who needs a miracle is just here with me.
You know, you try to find how you're going to explain such a phenomena. looking at her, how simple she just calls Emanuela. The mother, mind you, she tried calling her own child.
Exactly.
And the child did not respond. And she said, the child usually responds to me calling. But there was need for another voice.
Another voice, yes.
A voice that God hears.
Yes.
A voice that has God in it.
Yes.
It was just calling once, and the baby started blinking.
Exactly. A voice that dead situations can hear. You know, I can imagine how blessed these ladies are. You are going to take any dead situation to Chinoi, and as soon as she speaks, just allow her to speak to your situation, to speak to your life. You know, the devil, if he only allows her to speak, you know that your situation is transformed. Everything is done. Just the voice.
You know, that's something that I always say. Do not allow this couple to speak.
Exactly.
Do not allow our mother to speak. Do not allow our father to speak. Because when they speak, their words do not fall to the ground.
That's true.
Their words do not return empty-handed.
That's true.
When they speak their words, they come back with results.
Yes.
And this is the grace that we have, having such parents, having such a mother amongst us. And you rightfully said it that you can't help but being jealous at the ladies. They're going to have our mother for
5 days.
For 5 days.
Imagine.
In the presence of God.
Imagine.
With our mother.
Imagine. That's something else. People of God, as we wrap up this testimony, we just want to call upon Mr. and Mrs. Joushe and Emanuela. This is 9 years down the line. Let's give them a round of applause. I want the camera to just focus on her face so that you can see that that's the same person. That's the same person. And the amazing thing is she's seeing this testimony for the first time today. She's now how old?
How old is she?
She turned 10 today.
She turned, oh, today is her birthday. Wow. You know, there is nothing like coincidence in the house of God. It's not a coincidence that we are doing this testimony today at her 10th birthday and 9 years after being given life. It's not a coincidence.
And you know, the most amazing thing is that tomorrow is also our mother's birthday.
Imagine. Is that a coincidence? No. Zvinhu zvaMwari zvakarongeka.
Zvakarongeka. You see, Dog, I was actually amazed by what the parents were saying, that when they were bringing her here, and she was asking, what testimony are you coming to share here? Because she didn't even know what actually happened.
Yeah.
And today it's her birthday, and she got to also understand what God has done for her, the gift that God has already given her. Isn't that a wonderful birthday present for her?
But I'll give you maybe just 1 or 2 minutes to talk. We want to wrap this testimony up. You were talking about the unique things that your daughter is now doing. Just tell us briefly about that.
Doc, ndaida kuti ndikumbire kuti ndimbotaurawo neShona
It's all right.
kuti ndinyatse kunzikwa.
Allow me to speak in Shona so that I can be
Asi
heard.
ndisati ndataura ndofunga that part ndichada kupa mai vacho kuti vazoti dedemu dedemu.
Before I say anything, I'll give that part to the
Pane
woman.
pandiri kuda kutanga napo doko ndichitenda the prophetess. Even up to today, this issue is a proverb to us. Itsumo yatisati takwanisa kududzira. Nekuti patakaenda pamberi pa our mother musi uyoyo. Pastor, I did not witness depth. I did not witness a dimension in the spiritual, but I witnessed a season. Ndakaona nyika muna mai. Ndakaona mwaka. In that simplicity iri kutaurwa na doctor iyaya. But ndakamira ndakavatarira kudai zvinhu zvatatakoniwa tese so. Ndikata. But tazodzokera kumba ndakaona kuti mwaka uyu it's not only for UFI but for Zimbabwe. Ndeimwe nyika. Kuda ndo yainzi thy kingdom come here. I don't know. Even up to now, I cannot explain. Ende chimwe chinhu ndichiri papo paakamuka doctor. Asi ndamboona zvakadaro munoziva apa papa machenera akaita vana mother. Unoziva kuti aibuda mafuro kudai but vakatora dress ravo vaibva vapukuta nedress ravo that form vachibva vatora maoko unoziva maoko vachibva vapukuta nemaoko. Doctor ndofunga vanonzwisisa zveutano. Ndakanyatsa kuona mai vabereka mwana wavo vanomupukuta nemaoko chaiwo. Even up to now she calls her mother. And ndakuinda paquestion yataurwa nadoctor kuti anoita sei. Antasanofambirana namai so.
She's extraordinarily intelligent. She is
intelligent.
Very
We expect
intelligent.
children after this to have some retardation, to become less intelligent. That's what we expect as medical people. But you are telling us she's extraordinarily intelligent.
This day she actually said it's going to rain, it's going to drain the house, but it wasn't the rainy season. I think Mama told him winter, if I'm not mistaken. That was last year, but Mama told him winter. So we were not expecting any rains. So that night in the evening, takangozonzwa mashowers emvura mumba. So pipe re gizarara besta. Then we remembered that ndomvura yanga ichitaura kuti it's going to drench
And
the
the Mumba
house.
Makanaya.
Makanaya, kutonaya shaiko kudai. Kubuda namsiling.
You know, people of God, we have to understand what spiritual impartation is. Our mother is a prophetess and she touched this child. And she sees things that no ordinary person can see just by a touch of hand from our mother. Just a gift of life from our mother, and our mother gives her whole self even into the child. It's not easy for you to say in the house it's going to rain. Who at any point in time can ever say that? And such a thing like that happens.
And rain in this house.
Rain in the house, not outside,
In this house.
but specifically.
And she's like 7 or 8. And Baba, you're telling us about when you were driving and she even told you something.
Exactly, doctor. Ndanga ndichitomuperekedza kuchikoro. Saka nezuro wacho ndaifanira kunge ndakatenga petrol. But ndaingoverengera kuti ndichazotenga hangu petrol. Saka tati fambei. Anga ari kumashure achibva angoti, "Daddy, motikari yenyu ikapera petrol munoita sei?" But haatombonzwisisi zvenyaya yepetrol kana kuti chii chinoitika panyaya dzezvepetrol achiri mudiki. But ene ndikatarira so ndichibva ndaona kuti geji ranga rabelow E. Zvokuti ndakabva ndatotena immediately ipapo kunomwa petrol.
Baba, you know, this couple told us about several things. You will be jealous. We are not allowing them to share most of the things. I think those 3 testimonies are enough. They've told us of so many extraordinary abilities that the child has. Even at school, she's always the top in her class. So many extraordinary things. Babada mama, takudaidza for 2 minutes. Tingatozopedzisira taita service yesetina Emanuela. I think that's enough for today. People of God, the hands of our mother minister amazing things. They minister life, they minister miracles, they minister all the good things that you can ever desire in this life. Baba manama izvoshe tinokutendai nekutendera Emanuela kuuya kuzoshare testimony yake.